this is the story of how I quit. Okay, so I'm at my chiropractor's office and I'm having an adjustment. I try to go once a month. I have really lingering neck issues from a car accident years ago. Anyway, I love this man. I would take a bullet for this man, and I would let him perform brain surgery on me. He is just the kindest, sweetest soul who just wants to help everybody in any way possible. And I'd been telling him how miserable I've been at work, how stressful things are. He's been so sweet and so encouraging. And today I go for my adjustment, and the first thing he asked me is, how's work? How are you? And I said, I'm good. And he goes, you look a lot better than last time. He goes, what changed? I said, I decided I'm quitting in a month. And he gave me a big hug. He just opened his arms and he gave me a big hug. And he told me how proud he was of me. And he's just been so encouraging. He's known me now since I was, oh my gosh, a year out of high school maybe. And he knows my family. He knows so many of our friends who come here. And he was just, like, I know already I'm making the right decision, but it just warmed my heart that so many people care and have been so encouraging about my decision to do this, because this is really scary and intimidating for anybody, and in my position I feel like it's just super scary. And so I just got in my car at the end of the appointment and I just sat back and I said to myself, I'm quitting in a month. I'm gonna be done. And this huge grin came across my face and I just laughed with just relief and joy. And I'm like, I'm for somebody who suffers from anxiety so badly, I thought that this decision would torment me. And it has been the exact opposite. Since I made the conscious decision to do this, since I put the timeline into my head, the stress has melted away and I am so much happier. And just signs have been happening all over the place that this is the right decision. And this was just another one today that it's good. It's good. I'm good. It's gonna be good. And I'm so happy. I'm so happy now. Where did I put my beer? Okay. So, I just quit my job. Here I am. I keep looking over here like the camera's over here, but I think the camera's over here. I don't talk about my job very much on this channel because it's sensitive and I never wanted to cross a line with that. Really is all I can say. I'm in IT, but I work at a company that deals with a lot of sensitive private information, PII, PHI. We're under HIPAA restrictions and regulations. So I never really wanted to divulge much of what I do. But I'm an IT subject matter expert at my company, or I was. It was a great place to work at first. I loved it. When I say I loved it, I mean I loved it. I started 13 almost and a half years ago, and it was very close-knit. They really treated people like family in a good way. If somebody needed something, the company rallied around them. You worked with great people who had worked there for decades because they loved it so much. And it was my very first corporate job. It was my very first job, real job, that didn't revolve around some family business or, working for friends over the summers and stuff. And that was part of my downfall. I cared about this place and I cared about the people because they cared about me in the beginning. And then it just became every other corporation in America. The owner brought in an investment firm that basically kind of did a hostile takeover-ish. I know it wasn't technically a hostile takeover, but they gained control and things went downhill. And in some ways the company needed to be a corporation. It needed to not act like a mom and pop shop for the size that it was, for the number of people that it served, for the number of employees that it needed to provide the tools to do a good job and to take pride in their work. You know, it did need to come up to date in some regards, and in others it is soulless now. And I know that it is probably more so of a miracle that I found something that had a soul to start with. And the reason it had a soul was because of the people who ran it and the people who worked there every day. And that changed over time. And I created or was part of a very close-knit group of employees, my teammates, from day one. In my IT position, I actually started in another department in the company, and worked my way up to IT, which is really what I wanted to do the entire time. My IT team, I was the only girl, and I called them my boys. I love my boys to this day. They very much looked after me, and treated me like a little sister with everything that includes, including the teasing and, you know, poking fun, but never in a mean-spirited way. They were always incredibly supportive. They were incredibly protective when I faced some very scary challenges at work with some other male employees in other areas. They looked out for me. And then one by one, they left. They went on to better things because they couldn't take it anymore. They couldn't take the mistreatment, the overwork, the underpay, the manipulation, really the mental abuse that was going on. And one by one, they found other places and left, and it broke my heart every time, but I was happy for them, and I never ever tried to get them to reconsider or to feel guilty. I only ever told them how proud of them I was and how much that I was going to miss them. And that started, the first one to leave left probably close to 5 or 6 years ago. It was, wait, no, was it that long? No, it feels like that long. The first one left like, I want to say maybe 6 or 8 months into the pandemic. So that would have been 3 years ago. Feels like so much longer. And then another followed, actually went to the same place as that first one. And then another followed after that, and he was the one who trained me when I first came into IT, so I had a special connection with him. And then the last one of my original team was let go as part of a huge company layoff, and it absolutely shocked me, because if there was a single person in that company that was invaluable to that company, it was this person. And I was shocked. I was disgusted, because this person had endured so much mental abuse from this company. And I was left alone. I had a team, you know, people had hired in, they had replaced the people that had left, but there was no regaining that. So I very much felt alone, and I liked the people, for the most part, who were left or who had hired back in or had, you know, come in. It just wasn't the same, and there was just no way I was going to get that close to anybody else. One, because I knew I didn't want to, because I had disconnected emotionally from the company, and that was a mistake on my part to ever be emotionally invested in a company. You should not do that. Do not do that. But for another, there was just that chemistry wasn't there. There was something special about the time and the place and the environment and all of the people that made it unique. And it just, there's no replicating that. I am happy to say that since each one of them has left, I have actually kept in touch individually with each one, and I still organize Zoom get-togethers, because it's, at least where I'm at, it hasn't always been safe to have an in-person get-together. So we've had multiple Zoom gatherings, just us catching up and keeping in touch with each other. And I think that just speaks to how special our unit was. And so there's one person left at work on my team that I will miss, and he's been there almost the entire time that I've been there. But because of his role, even though he was in my department, I didn't see him very often. I would sometimes go weeks without seeing him or talking to him. He's been very supportive and very kind, and I am going to miss him. But because of his role, he was never quite as close to the rest of the group. He couldn't make it to a lot of our after work dinners and stuff when we would try to organize them before the pandemic. So I've told him. I think everybody in my department knows now. So today was the day I was returning to work from my medical leave, because I had my gallbladder out. You've seen the vlogs for my surgery. I'm healing very well. I got the all clear from my doctor, and today was my first day back at work. And literally 10 minutes after I logged in, I was getting pinged for projects that I've not been involved in for close to a month. And I noticed I was on email chains about stuff, questions about something a year ago that shouldn't involve me, doesn't involve me, but I'm one of the few people who's been around long enough to have a way to give an answer, dig up an answer. And my mental health has not been this good in a long time. Being off of work for 3 weeks, cut off from work, they can't contact me, I can't log in, I can't do anything. And then within the first hour back today, I had tanked again. I was crashing, and I knew that I was already planning on quitting. I didn't have I thought I had my exit plan, but after this morning, I just knew I couldn't go anymore. I could not take another day and reinsert myself into this environment after 3 weeks of being completely free of it. And so I turned in my resignation, effective immediately as of 1 p.m. I don't have another job lined up, but I have a direction that I think I want to explore. And I'm going to try to document the experience, because it is going to be completely different than anything I've ever done. I don't want to continue on in IT, not because I can't handle it, but because I don't enjoy it. This place has sucked the life out of me. It has sucked the love of my craft out of me. And I'm very much burnt out. I know I will always have my IT skills to fall back on, but I want to explore other options. I want to find something I am, if not passionate about, at least that I enjoy, that I can have some creativity and some enjoyment in. And so, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. like I said, I'm going to try to document it. So I'm going to try to have a series, or I don't know if I'm just going to document it over however long it takes and then release one video. I have a feeling it's maybe going to be more vlog style. I'm not sure yet. But I finally feel free. There are a lot of consequences to quitting the way that I did. I don't know what my final paycheck is going to be, when I will get it, because I don't know how they have calculated my paid time off, if I've used too much, if they're going to end up having to dock me to, you know, take back PTO that I've taken from my medical leave that I hadn't, you know, earned yet or accrued yet in the year. Obviously I'll be losing my health insurance, which is scary. But my surgery is behind me. Everything has gone well so far, and I'm going to be doing my best to take care of my physical health and mental health, which is the biggest part of why I had to just leave my job, because I know I will continue to incur medical costs just by staying there, just by not getting out and having my life back. So we will see how all this goes. I'm excited. I feel lighter. I feel freer. I do have some anxiety about what that's gonna look like financially. But I'm just gonna do the best I can, and I know that eventually, somehow, somewhere, I will land on my feet. I just don't know what that'll look like. But yeah, I wanted to share that experience of what I went through today. This is not financial advice. This is not job advice. I don't recommend or encourage anybody to just go in and quit their jobs, you know, out of the blue. But I will say, for myself, I think this is going to be one of the best decisions I will have ever made in my life. So, I'll see you around.